What up? What up? What up? How are you? Robin Lundberg back with you yet again. Another friendly edition of the program here. I'm just looking around for a second. Hang on. Um, I don't see any gambling related sponsors on the screen. Any of y'all see them? I don't see. There's no DraftKings over here, is there? FanDuel over here, or BetMGM over there. None of that. All right. So I'm good to proceed. I feel I can proceed. I mean, I want to know, is the FBI brought to you by FanDuel? Was the FBI press conference brought to you by FanDuel or DraftKings? Because this is a fascinating story that's unfolding in real time regarding the NBA and a gambling ring, if you will. Now, first of all, we need all the information. So, I could come out here and give you hot takes aplenty, but I won't do that until I have all the information. Because otherwise I'm an idiot. That's how an idiot operates. You come out and just spew stuff at the mouth without knowing exactly what's going on. So we'll deal with what we do know and unpack it from there. Which is, there were arrests made today, specifically Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, right, and Terry Rozier. Was the Jones arrest today? I know he's involved in this. The Chauncey Billups thing kind of seems like a non-story to me, that aspect of it, because the way I see it is there's two separate things that they're talking about. One is this rigged poker ring, and I'm not saying it's good when you got NBA coaches arrested in mafia-related deals. I'm not saying that's good, but what I'm saying is it's not really relevant to the competition, so it's not really a league-wide issue. You can fire a coach, you can get rid of an employee and wash your hands and stuff like that. Whatever the case, I don't know what Chauncey did or didn't do it. I love Chauncey on those Pistons teams back in the day. One of my great sports predictions, maybe my best ever, was that Pistons team would beat that Lakers team that year in 2004. Right after Tayshaun Prince blocked Reggie Miller off the backboard, I called that it was going to go that way. So the Chauncey Billups thing, whatever, I don't know. Maybe it's tied in somehow. So I don't want to say anything too definitive yet. But if it is just poker related, then to me, it's not that big a story relative to the NBA. The other aspect of it is more of an NBA story. And that is what's going on with the prop bets. And you see it there with the involvement of Terry Rozier, who the NBA reportedly investigated and cleared in the past. So that's an interesting wrinkle to it. And then Damon Jones. I mean, Rozier's lawyers have already put out a statement, by the way. Here's what his lawyers said, courtesy of Pablo Torre Finds Out. We have represented Terry Rozier for over a year. A long time ago, we reached out to these prosecutors to tell them we should have an open line of communication. They characterized Terry as a subject, not a target. But at 6 a.m. this morning, they called to tell me FBI agents were trying to arrest him in a hotel. It is unfortunate that instead of allowing him to self-surrender, they opted for a photo op. They wanted the misplaced glory of embarrassing a professional athlete with a perp walk. That tells you a lot about the motivations in this case. They appear to be taking the word of spectacularly incredible, not incredible, sources rather than relying on actual evidence of wrongdoing. Terry was cleared by the NBA, and these prosecutors revived that non-case. Terry is not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight. So that, to me, is one of the most interesting aspects of all of this, that the NBA cleared Terry Rozier and the FBI nailed Terry Rozier. So what's the actual truth there? What actually went on? Am I allowed to trust the FBI or not? Where am I on that sliding scale? Right? Like, wasn't there a time where the FBI was crooked and rigged? And then, there was another time where it's the leading law enforcement agency in the country. I don't know where I'm supposed to be on that. I mean, I'm kidding around, but I'm not, in a sense, because that is, has been a talking point and thrown out there so much that I don't know I don't want to accuse the FBI of doing dog and pony shows and questioning their credibility, but when things get thrown at the wall that much and the discourse gets to that level, it does get into your head a little bit. Then there's the actual allegations here, and here's part of the press conference. Let me play you part of the press conference, because this is the part that's a problem for the NBA. If indeed it's true, this aspect of what went down.
Mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The bets were placed through online sports books and also in person at casinos. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. The defendants then laundered their illegal winnings in various ways: peer-to-peer platforms, bank wires, and simple cash exchanges. The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers. Each defendant in the NBA basketball gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering.
I think he meant Toronto Raptors there at the end. Nonetheless, the NBA has a prop bet problem, right? That's a prop bet problem. We've seen this pop up in the past where, a player can say, I'm hurt, come out, and somebody can cash in on the under. And does that totally manipulate the competitive integrity of the league and the game? Not necessarily, but it's a slippery slope. The problem is the league and the leagues are all partnered up with the sports books, playing ring around the rosy. And the more bets that the sports book can offer, the more customers that they can bring in, and hence you have the props. You can't put the parlay back into the tube, the toothpaste back in the tube, the parlay back in the tube, whatever word choice you want to use. And that is where we're dancing with a dilemma that hasn't come up in the past. Because, there's really two sides of it, if you're being smart about it. One is that with the sports betting being legalized, it's easier to regulate and catch this sort of stuff. The activity can be smoked out. We've seen the NBA go after it. On the other side, the participation is so much greater than it was in the past, which allows for an increased chance of improper activity, an increased chance of nefarious acts. And I don't know what you do about it at this point, because we've gotten to this dunk was brought to you by DraftKings. And, even on ESPN this morning, they were talking about it with an ESPN bet ad in the bottom of the screen. You see it? Bottom right. I think it gets removed partway through this video. But nonetheless, that's their lower third. That's built in, that's baked into the coverage. So, look, the worst possible thing that could happen is the competitive integrity of the league coming into question, the way people thought it did with Tim Donaghy, right? Rogue official. And that's the kind of thing that can jeopardize everything. When people don't believe that the competition is on the up and up, that they don't believe that the team that deserves to win wins because, or that the players were actually competing at the highest level because one of them was trying to throw the game. The prop bet thing puts its toes in that territory. Whether or not some random player, whether or not, I'll use Terry Rozier as an example because he was arrested. I don't know what he actually did or didn't, but whether or not Terry Rozier clears 8.5 points or whatever it is not necessarily relevant to the final score, but it can be. If he's expected to be a productive member of the team and helping the team win, And this is not a concept that's out of nowhere. Remember the Jonte Porter thing? Michael Porter Jr. talked about this, and he basically said it out loud. He said it out loud. There was, there's no misinterpreting these comments from him on this Full Court Press podcast. I don't know when it was, but it's completely. I mean, he's right. He's right. And he nailed it right there, right? Like, this is exactly what they're dealing with. And, people really do enjoy the sports betting, obviously, right? And most people do it harmlessly, but at this point, like, how do you get out of it? They've already jumped into the pool. I mean, can you just ban prop bets as leagues? Would that be enough? We'll see what more comes out of it. Obviously, this isn't the end of the story. That's basically the information I have right now. And the information that's out there right now. The poker thing, I don't know what Stephen A. Smith just said here's what Stephen A. Smith just said on First Take. We'll listen to this together because the headline is interesting to me. Stephen A. Smith, First Take.
We know what world that I live in terms of politics. How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television again. Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you hearing ICE is going to be there, looking to engage in mass deportations. The Super Bowl, disrupting things. Big night for the NBA. Wembanyama put on a show. That has now been smeared because we're talking about this story, okay? Remember, Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to party, or whatever the case may be. This was his kind of connection to that. Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised that the WNBA is next on his list. Mm-hmm. Because when you've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you, this man is coming. He's coming. And I've been saying it for a long time. And to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know. We're all sitting up here and we're saying that we don't know. But anybody that has been around him, anybody that has talked to him, anybody that has seen his reactions from the sports leagues and the positions that people have taken, they are not surprised at what's going on today. I'm watching a press conference with the director of the FBI. Yeah. Tell me when we've seen that. We've seen accusations before. We've seen athletes get in trouble with the law before. You don't see the director of the FBI having a press conference. It's not coincidental. It's not an accident. It's a statement. And it's a warning that more is coming. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're saying here. And everybody better, I'm just telling you. Mm-hmm. It's as serious as it gets. This ain't the platform for me to get into it the way I'm going to get into it. But I've been saying he's coming. He's coming. Because in his eyes, folks try to throw him in jail. In his eyes, he's innocent. They try to put me behind bars. I'm getting everybody. He's not playing. And so this, in a lot of people's eyes, talk to people in the NBA, talk to people in the NFL, talk to people in the world of sports. They think this is like the tip of the iceberg. These are the kind of words that are coming out of people's mouths. It's not a surprise. It's very disheartening. It's very concerning. We don't know where this is going to go. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Everybody's been embracing themselves.
So look, Stephen A is known for bombastic opinions and the like, but I don't think that's an unfair point in the sense that wherever your political leanings lie, we have seen a degree of fealty and weaponizing of the government under the current administration. So I don't know what the motives and the goals would be. It doesn't mean the allegations aren't true. It does. I don't know. Just like with all these things, I don't know. but I saw that come up across the timeline as I was scrolling by, and it just it caught my attention. there's no question about that. I don't really, well, I'll get to the comments and what you guys think about the situation in a minute, but that's the reality that we're living in right now, as far as sports gambling and this sports gambling saga. Now, if you had taken the over on Victor Wembanyama, you would have done well. You would have done well. If you took the over on points and rebounds for Victor Wembanyama, you would have done well. And Victor Wembanyama is out there making Anthony Davis look like a child. He's like Billy Madison with the dodgeball. Now you're all in big, big trouble. I mean, his highlights should come with a warning label. What the guy is doing is absurd. That was one of the most revelatory performances I've ever seen. He is a freak of nature. He is an absolute destroyer of worlds. He may already be the best player in the NBA, and there's no limit to what his potential can be. I sort of questioned whether he could be the face of the league going forward, because you can't emulate him. You can't be 7'5". But if he's playing like he did against the Mavericks, it just captures your imagination. I think Ryan Rucco called him a figment of our basketball imaginations on the broadcast. And that was an apt description, because the dude is an alien. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. I mean, this is the stuff I actually enjoy talking about. Here's a play from the game. Watch this shit. Get it out. Down the floor the other way. Pull back, step back, cash. What do you do about that? What do you do about that? Ain't nothing you can do. No way to handle that. No way to prepare for that. He's gotten stronger too. That's all in it. I mean, don't get any tougher to deal with than that. When you look at players, I think across sports, across basketball, I'm sorry. When you look at that and you think about like who really just changes the dynamics for people when they watch, I think it's Victor Wembanyama on the NBA side of things and Caitlin Clark on the women's side of things. They're the two players that just like you can't help but feel a certain way when you watch them. And that's ultimately what moves the needle for sports leagues when it comes to the talent and the players that, ultimately become faces of the league or become actual drivers of the sport and the interest and the audience. So Victor Wembanyama with a huge, monster, ridiculous performance. And then lastly, I did a couple videos on this already. And, I could have easily led with this topic given my audience and probably done more views, to be honest with you. But it's not a real story. And I just want to say something to all the Indiana Fever fans and the Caitlin Clark fans who watch and listen to this show. And if you want more expanded thoughts, just go check the recent videos that I've done, and you'll get some thoughts on this. But there is a basically cottage industry of creating Caitlin Clark fever rage bait, right? Like it's taking anything that could be construed as a slight against Caitlin Clark or a negative against Caitlin Clark and throwing it out there as if it was declared with animosity from the top of a mountain. And Stephanie White did an interview where she was asked about bringing back Kelsey Mitchell and where she falls on the priorities and all that. And she said she's the number one priority in free agency, which is a duh. The organization has already said that. She also said, we want to continue building around Kelsey. The most innocuous state. She didn't say we want to continue building around Kelsey at the expense of Caitlin Clark. She didn't say we want to continue building solely and exclusively around Kelsey Mitchell. We already knew the Indiana Fever were building around Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Leah Boston. We've known that from the beginning. In the same interview, Stephanie White talked about Caitlin Clark and what she has to deal with and her abilities as a player and all these things. The same damn interview. But because she used the word building in one sentence in relation to Kelsey Mitchell, these folks took it and threw it in your face and rage bait. And that's, it's a tactic. It works, I guess. And I'm not even talking about anybody specifically. I don't know because I don't follow it that closely. For real. I'm not like sitting there checking who's posting what, or I just know it happens. And I see it in my comment section. And you don't have to agree with anything that a coach says or a player says or the strategies of the organization, but you can use your brain. And Caitlin Clark has expressed her admiration for Kelsey Mitchell. She's expressed her admiration for Stephanie White, vice versa. And at the same time, she was hurt this year. And Kelsey Mitchell did carry the team and did play till the wheels fell off. And the two of them have proven how well they can play together. So give it a rest. And I'm not saying everything is necessarily going to be perfect. If we get to next season and they're, the dynamic between the coach and the player don't work, fine, we'll talk about it then. But the ability to make that into a thing when the Fever just got an overtime away from the WNBA finals while hanging on by a thread because everybody was injured, to then turn that into some sort of toxic negativity, given the coach was praising a player who helped them do that, is honestly insane. It's insane. So that's all. Wasn't going to do a whole another show on that. If you want the full takes on that, click on the two. I did do 2 videos on it, so I did something. I guess I contributed. Basically, the first one I didn't even know about the Kelsey Mitchell aspect of it. I was just reacting to something Stephanie White said. And then I saw the comments and I went back to the Kelsey Mitchell aspect of things. And, there you have it. So get your prop bets in, get your likes, get your subscribes, all that. That's my reaction to the latest in the NBA, Victor Wembanyama. And of course, what I said, PSA for Indiana Fever fans. And when there's actual Indiana Fever news or, WNBA news or women's college basketball news, I'll cover that too, of course, as always. It's just a little bit of a slow period there. And I'm talking about basketball, right? I'm talking about basketball. But what a day for the NBA. What a day. You got to take the over on controversy for the NBA today. Make sure you, withdraw any of the prop bets that you made. It really is a prop bet problem. It seems to me. That seems to be the biggest issue, is a prop bet problem. Because those are the bets that seem to be influenced. That seems to be leading to all these issues and the offshoots. But they're in bed. The leagues are in bed with the sports books. So what do? Kick them out of the bed? Kick them out of the bed? I don't know. We get to the member chats, super chats. Kevin, let's not let this gambling scandal distract us from the fact that the Knicks established their dominance on the league last night. Let's go Knicks. Did they establish dominance on the league? Didn't they win a close game against the Cavs? This is this news story, kind of muddies the water a little bit on the results. I mean, Wembanyama was good enough to just talk about on its own. But the Knicks beat the Cavs, right? I mean, look, the Knicks should be one of the top teams in the East for sure. I don't know if they established their dominance on the league or not. Kentucky Rick, new member, appreciated. Kentucky Rick, thank you. Member chats, super chats go first. Like I said, let me get to those. Where Twofold says, Robin, do you have high hopes for the New York Knicks? Will they win a championship? No, I don't think the Knicks will win a championship. Look, I think Tom Thibodeau has a history of squeezing all the juice out of a team until there's nothing left. And in this instance, are they better than they were last year? That's my real question. Can they win a championship? Sure. Are they in the mix? Are they on the list of contenders? Yes. If you had that, do I believe they're going to win the championship? No. Hell, the Spurs might win the championship after watching last night. I'm high on the Orlando Magic in the East. That's the team that I really think is one to watch. But the Knicks can. Are there any teams that are definitively better than the Knicks in the East? No. Which means they can win the championship, which means they can get there and win the championship. I guess the way I look at it is I don't think that was a team that underachieved last year. What an absolute S show today. Morning, Chris. So again, the thing with the prop bets and Rozier is interesting to me because the NBA cleared him. So why would the NBA clear him if it behooves the NBA to nip it in the bud. Like it doesn't. You could say they go and be like, you could say they go and find nothing, and it makes them look better. But I think if there is something, it's better for them to squash it. By the way, I don't know what Stephanie White said on this clip, but I just saw it's another one I saw come across the timeline since we were just talking about it. Let's see.
I think people that are going out of their way to spread negativity or to fuel some hateful message, they've got other issues. And so for me, it's I'll pray for them. I feel for them. I'll send them good vibes. You have to maintain perspective, and it's not always easy. It's not. That's why I delete the apps. That's why I create boundaries. That's why I, surround myself with people who can be honest with me, who can help me maintain perspective. Because there are a lot of miserable people out there. I often say, and I say this to my own children, like, it's not hard to not be a jerk. And people go out of their way to be jerks. I just don't like to subject myself or my family to any part of that.
So there you go. Avoiding the negativity. So I don't think Stephanie White is in the YouTube rabbit hole. I mean, that's your choice, Brett. I don't know. Do we trust the NBA? Do we trust the government? Who do we trust? Like that's the problem I have too. Like, I don't know. I don't know the answers to any of these things. Matthews Music says Mike Evans got hurt last Monday, killed my ticket. Well, yeah, I mean, look, that's just the nature of betting. To be honest, I don't even think sportsbooks should refund that stuff. I mean, I think that's part of the risk. Wemby is indeed insane. Rookie for the Sixers had one heck of a debut. By the way, Joel Embiid, he looks kind of cooked. Those knees. That's got to be worrisome. Got to be worrisome. That would be a lot of dead money on the salary cap. corruption is getting broader and broader. It's sad, especially with people who are supposed to be role models and already filthy rich. Yeah, I mean, the that's the thing. Like, these NBA players make so much money. Just foolishness to get involved in anything like I understood like what Porter Jr. was saying and trying to help out your buddies or whatever, but it's just just give them money then. Watch out, Robin. They'll send you back to where you came from. Yeah, that's right. Content creators trying to create audiences, totally innocent comments by Stephanie White, completely ridiculous. Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not even a story. Like, it's almost insulting to myself and my integrity that I talked about it. Not a story. And if you think that those comments were controversial or cross any line, you're being a moron. Don't weaponize your channel. Yeah. Jokes there, I think. See where we're at. Our culture has been groomed for toxic negativity for a decade or more. A number of folks with hate fatigue are working on promoting a kinder culture whenever possible. I do my best. There are Fever fans, there are Clark fans, and there are Clarkies. Or Clarkies are plumb crazy. Yeah, I see which part you're talking about. I know what you mean. You know, I just can't believe it. I can't believe it that anybody would listen to those comments and make something of it. Like, it's nearly impossible to fathom, I guess, is what I'm saying. So did you have the over or under on show length today? Get those likes and subscribes in. Any other things? That's all I really got. That should about do it. So I'll take any more comments or anything else that comes in. Yeah, that was the kind of stuff the outside news and the darkness the team has to tune out. Maybe he could have used better word choice or whatever, but you understood. People should have understood what he was saying and where he was coming from with that. Like, it's like kind of cultish. And yeah. By the way, Kelsey Mitchell's going to be on Sue Bird's podcast tomorrow. So have some reaction to that for sure. Hopefully she doesn't say that she wants the keys to the team at the expense of Caitlin Clark. When do you guys want to do the next member event? Let me know. We should do one. You're right. So I'm working on a project and I had taken a little bit of a break here, but I'm back figuring out the content schedule as we go along here. So let me know, guys. By the way, what would David Stern do? What would David Stern do about the sports gambling? Because he would come down heavy-handed if it was found to be true. The players that participated, well, wasn't there was a conspiracy theory though that Jordan was playing baseball because of that. Oh man, what a wild turn of events. You guys want to do it tomorrow or next Friday? What's the date? I could probably do either. Next Friday's Halloween. We could dress up. I don't know if tomorrow is too short a notice for people right now. Probably sometime next week makes a little bit more sense just because of time. I don't want to exclude people, but I'd be willing to do tomorrow if people wanted to do tomorrow. But you got to let me know. We will plan one. How about that? I promise you I will get one on the calendar within the next 2 weeks. We will get one on the calendar within the next 2 weeks. All right, get those likes and subscribes in. Anything else? Otherwise, that will do it for me today. As always, appreciate all of y'all and all of the interactions. It's always nice to see the dedicated audience in here, no matter what I'm talking about. And again, I did do 2 videos on the fever situation yesterday, so you can check that out as well. That's why I didn't want to overdo it or overkill it on a story like that. And this NBA thing is kind of interesting. So until the next one, yeet.